Hey there, CJ Math students, and welcome to Notes 10.6 Slope-Intercept Form notes. So we're finally going to figure out what these wacky y equals equations mean and how they can help us graph lines. So every line has an equation that is a set of instructions for graphing. Okay, so you can think of the slope-intercept equation that we'll learn about today as kind of like your directions manual for building a line. Most of the time the equation is written in slope-intercept form. So if we break down this phrase, they are going to give us the slope and the intercept, and we should be able to graph from that. So when asked to graph an equation, you need to know at least two things. You need to know the slope, and you need to know the y-intercept. All right, the slope is how you will move, and the y-intercept is where you will start your graph. So slope is how you move, and y-intercept is how you start your graph. So far, we know we can make a graph if we have 2 points, if we have x and y intercepts, which are also basically special points, and now if we have a slope-intercept equation. So we now have the actual slope-intercept equation. It is read as y is equal to mx plus b. The two most important letters in this equation are m, which stands for slope, how you move, and b, which stands for your y-intercept, or your starting point on the graph. All right, and from these equations we should be able to construct lines. So let's go ahead and try and work through a couple of these equations. So we'll label this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. All right, so for this first one, the slope, if we look at it, just again, you're looking at this mx plus b form, slope-intercept. This is your slope, this is your y-intercept. So the slope here is 2 over 1 or -2 over -1. I can say or -2 over -1 because a negative divided by a negative is positive and I have a positive slope. The y-intercept is 0, 5. It's always going to be 0, the number, because we know all y-intercepts have an x value that is 0. Let's take out number 2. The slope can be -3 over 1 or 3 over -1. Notice how the negative moves between the two? Well, a negative divided by a positive or a positive divided by a negative will give us a negative no matter what. So only one of the numbers has to be negative for your slope to be negative. In this case, it's 3. Again, we put it as a fraction because it tells us how to move, right? In this case, this was moving up 2 and right 1, or down 2 and left 1. And in this case, this is moving down 3 and right 1, or up 3 and left -1. So number 3, look very carefully. Some of you might jump the gun and say the slope is -7, but it's incorrect. The slope is always the number attached to the coefficient of x, so the number attached to x. So in this case, it's kind of rewritten backwards, but the slope is 5 over 1 or -5 over -1, and the y-intercept is 0, be careful, look very carefully at it, -7. And number 4, the slope, notice how they already have as a fraction. You're just going to have to write this fraction, since it's negative, in 2 different ways. -1 over 2 or 1 over -2. The y-intercept is 0, look very carefully, -8. All right, when we don't have a coefficient, right, you can go ahead and assume that the slope is 1. So let's write that no coefficient, or basically x by itself, slope is 1. Now, if the coefficient, if the variable is negative, then the slope is -1. So your slope for y equals x plus 3. You can imagine there's a 1 right there, an invisible 1. It's 1 over 1 or -1 over -1. The y-intercept is easy. It's 0, 3. The slope for y equals x minus 6. Again, 1 over 1 or -1 over -1. And your y-intercept is 0, -6. Your slope for number 7, here's that example where you have that negative, right, attached to your variable. That slope means then it's -1 over 1 or 1 over -1, right? Only one of the numbers has to be negative for your slope to be negative, and your y-intercept is 0, not 10. Look very carefully. It takes the sign as well, so 0, -10. So your slope in number 8, -1 over 1 or 1 over -1, and your y-intercept 0, 4, right? That's it for part 1.